Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Unsure to Unstoppable podcast. I am going to be joined by the beautiful Kirsty Kayn in a little second. Now, I met Kirsty actually online. I just reached out to her. She runs a podcast as well, and we're doing like a little podcast swap. So this is part one of two. Um, it's a conversation that I know so many of you will connect deeply with. She is a multifaceted, multi-passionate woman. She's a mum of two, a business owner, and also the host of a podcast. She's rebuilt her life from the ground up in her 30s after being dealt a pretty tricky deck of cards. She's a mum to a preteen and a teen. I can resonate with that wholeheartedly. A coffee addict by morning, a wine drinker by night, but not every night, and the kind of woman who knows how to hold real life while scaling a coaching business. So her story is all about starting again, choosing yourself, and proving that you don't need a perfect past to create a powerful future. So this is part one. I'm going to be joined by Kirsty in just a second, and I will be back with you in a little minute. Is that I'm back with the beautiful Kirsty. Thank you so much for joining me, Kirsty. Like I said, I've already done a little this is who's coming on sort of a thing. I've shared a little bit about you, about like what you've already told me, but obviously I only know little snippets because we've only spoke very, very a short amount of time, really. So I would love for you to fill us in and tell us in your own words who you are really beneath the titles, the roles, the success. Who is Kirsty?
Wow. Okay. So where to start? First of all, I'm someone who loves to talk. So podcasts are ideal for me because I also overshare as well. So that's always a good thing. Beneath everything else, beneath being a mom, beneath being a business owner, beneath being a podcast host, I am someone who has, to be honest, had a really quite can I swear on here? Am I allowed to
Of
swear?
course you can. Listen, I am like the
Okay.
sweetest. Like
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I always like to double check. Um, I've been dealt a really pretty shitty first few decades of my life, and
Yeah.
it has really been one of these things that where I share some stories, people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that," but I've normalized it,
Yeah.
and it feels almost neutral to tell a lot of these stories now, which I kind of have to have that reality check every now and again to be like, you know what, you have gone through quite a bit. Just
Yeah.
yourself some grace, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of always used to joke with myself, right? I do have quite a dark humor, but I think that comes with trauma, right? For a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and I kind of used to joke with myself that I've almost like beat the statistic, as in I've experienced, childhood death of a parent, I've experienced abuse, I've experienced divorce, I've experienced divorce of my parents, my own divorce, I've experienced post-separation abuse, I've gone through a lot like parallel parenting, which has been one of the most difficult journeys I've ever been on, to be honest. Raising teens, as we were saying, like
Yes.
that is that's a tricky one in itself. But I've kind of feel like I've navigated all of that and come out relatively unscathed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until round about the age of 30 that I said to myself, you know what? It's not normal to be gifted this amount of big, shitty things to deal with. You've been
Yeah.
gifted these for a reason.
Mhm.
Why?
Yeah.
Dig into the reason why and find out why. And then I realized that I'm here to do bigger work, which is where my coaching business comes into it. So out with me as a mum, me as Kirsty, me as the wine lover and coffee drinker and all of the things, I am also a coach. So I coach visionary women on really making fuck yes money. So many times women who have been through a lot will create money out of success, create that success, sorry, out of resentment, of being
Yeah.
like, well, fuck you, I'll do it myself, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll show you how to do it, I'll show you how happy I can be. When really in my world, we really turn all of that pain into power and say, you know what, do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Do it for
Yeah. Yeah.
yourself, do it for your kids, do it for your legacy, do it for your people, the people that you actually want to help, and create some fuck yes money that feels good. So a lot of my work is all about really transmuting that pain into power. turning that into your legacy, making fuck yes money. We do a lot of healing on our money story. And again, that brings into all the kind of tricky things that I've experienced in life, has really set
Mhm.
me up to teach that sort of thing. So that's kind of who I am in a nutshell. My business is I'd like to say it's my other child, but I think I've got enough kids. I've got two of my own. My partner's got two of his own as well. I don't need another one. But my business has very much been my pillar of strength throughout
Mm.
everything in the last kind of 8 years or so. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm a mum. I'm a blended family mum. I'm a girlfriend, which feels weird after being a wife, but
Yeah.
those are the things.
Yeah. Beautiful. I think it's so powerful, like you say, turning that perception of it being resentment to actually your power, isn't it? Like that's definitely it's very similar. Obviously, we spoke a wee bit already, but it's very similar to why I coach. Is because I was like, right, why did this happen to me? All right, okay, now I know that I can shift that and make that pain become my purpose rather than it being, oh my God, poor me. Do you know what I mean? Not to say that there's not periods of times that you do go through where you're like a wee bit poor me, but I think it's so important for that shift to happen. And then it also comes from a much more beautiful place, doesn't it? Like, and then actually there's so much more positiveness and gratitude for it, which then shifts the ripple effect of that into the rest of your life is just bloody huge, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. You actually said something there that resonates so deeply because so many times, women a lot of us are super emotional, right? And we really
Mm,
feel things. Not all of us, but a lot of us, right? And I know that's not singular just to women, but
yeah.
just talking from my experience here, they quite often we do say like poor me. But then
Hmm.
the next question you want to ask yourself is, why me? And so many people look at that
Yes.
as in like, oh, why me? Why do I have to deal with this? Why have I had to experience this? But what about you turn that into a powerful question and be like, well, why me? Why
Yeah,
was I
yeah,
for this? Why was I given this? And I use the word gifted a lot when I talk
yeah,
about life experiences. Like, why was I gifted this traumatic experience? Why was I the one that was chosen
yeah,
to learn this lesson?
yeah,
That why me can be turned into the most powerful question ever to
yeah,
move you out of being a victim and move you into like, I'm here to create change. Like, how
yeah,
big can we make this? Like, let's get excited about this. Um,
100%.
yeah, big question, that one. And I think a lot of people misinterpret it.
Yeah, and I think it is just, it's like you didn't even change the words, it was like the tone, isn't it? Like,
100%. Yeah.
it's just that question instead of being like more poor, like that whole poor me, and it's just that tone. I actually had a conversation with one of the girls that's on my online course last night, and she's had a lot of stuff like recently. Not me. These things always happen, and I've said to her, see all this stuff that happens right that's right before the breakthrough. The breakthrough's like on its way, like that, because that's the moment where most people quit, where it's
Yeah.
like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where but
100%.
you're like right on the cusp, it's on its way. And then it just took me just questioning, just like, and then it made her think differently to be like, oh, actually, this has happened. Actually, that was my big bet because I actually didn't like that anyway. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So, but it does sometimes take, and sometimes it's so much easier when you're not emotionally connected to it. But
Yeah.
that's why the importance of having a coach is so powerful. So you
100%.
mentioned rebuilding your life in your 30s, which
Yes.
is incredible. And I think
Terrifying.
for
But I'll
terrifying, of course, it must have
I'll get
been, yeah, for
there.
sure. Do you know what? Like, so did I actually, and I never really think about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never really think, like, I refuse to believe I'm 40 right now. So, like, it really
Well,
happened.
if it helps, you don't look at it at all. So we're all
Thank
good.
you.
We're all good.
I think so many people listening and who I know listening to the podcast, like you just said, that can feel absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Because I suppose, there's a bit of a belief at a certain age that you should have it, like that you should have it all figured out. You should be this. So what actually led to you having to start again?
Yeah. So I got married when I was 23.
Wow.
So young. See, when I look
Yeah,
back at it, I'm like, holy shit, you were actually just a child. Like I thought I knew the world.
of course you do.
Really didn't. And I think as well, that goes hand in hand with kids that have experienced a lot. You kind of grow up really quickly.
Yeah.
I kind of had a more mature outlook on everything, but now I'm like 23 is young,
Yeah.
like really young. So got married at 23, had my first daughter just before I turned 24. So it all happened very, very
Quick.
fast.
Yeah.
I was married for 8 years, 23, yeah, almost 8 years, just shy of 8 years. Um, and the last couple of years was kind of my time to be like, this isn't it for me. I had two
Mm.
daughters by this point. I thought, this isn't it for me. I'd found personal development and I was growing at a rapid pace. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I've totally outgrown this situation. Like, I've grown up now.
Mm-hmm.
I want more for myself and there's more available to me. And I really started to, anchor into the law of attraction, manifestation, and visualization and all of that. And I'm like, you know what, I need to actually leave this situation. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of saw the situation for how toxic it actually was. And I was too scared to leave for so long.
Yeah.
The thing that kind of kept me stuck there was I couldn't financially afford to leave. I was in a
Mm-hmm.
situation where I was told, stay home, look after the kids, I'll
Yeah.
take bills, which is fine. But then I realized, hold on, I'm isolated. I'm
Yeah.
in a house, tiny little house at the top of a hill, way out in the country, with no Wi-Fi, with no car, with no neighbors,
Wow.
no career. And it was just like, it was almost that penny dropped of being like, you're on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're so vulnerable right now because you don't have your own money, you don't have your own time, you don't have your own independence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm just kind of sitting here looking after these kids and hoping that an adult walks through the door that I can have a conversation with before I go to
Yeah.
bed. I'm like, that's not a life,
Mm-hmm.
So that was when I realized, what, I have to just be brave enough to leave. So I said one night, I'm so done. I'm so done of feeling like this, being treated like this is not what I want. Which ultimately led to me moving out after a while. So I moved into the house that I'm in now with both my girls, started independent mum life 3 months before I turned 31. And I remember moving here thinking, this is all going to hit me. This is all going to hit
Yeah.
me really hard, like a smack in the face, because I moved to the town that I wanted, in a house that I wanted. And I'd started coaching. So I just started coaching in the January and I left my marriage in the May. And I wasn't really signing clients until I moved here. And then they were coming thick and fast. And I'm like, you've landed on your feet, but hold on a
Mm-hmm.
second, because the universe is going to kind of test you here.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, okay, we have a really fucking deep masculine abandonment wound here because I lost my dad when I was 10
Yeah.
my in a road traffic collision with his motorbike. So I had
Shit.
that to deal with, and I kind of hadn't grieved that because when you're
Mm-hmm.
10, you don't really like you understand, but not fully understand the impact of that. And because I'd gone from that into my teens and then straight into, getting married, having kids, it wasn't until I was literally sitting by myself on my kitchen floor, I'm like, fuck, grief is on its way.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel nice. Um, and also having that guilt of I've not grieved my dad, and it's been like
Mm-hmm.
a couple of decades at this point. This
Yeah.
feels weird. And then Google told me that delayed onset grief was actually a thing. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay, let's welcome this into life. Why
Yeah.
not? So we're filing for divorce. We've moved house. My mum was out of the country at the time, and she was my like go-to person. Delayed onset grief was knocking on the door, and I was literally sitting on my
Jeez.
floor. And I'm like, I remember I was sitting there, I was literally holding my hands up like to my kitchen ceiling. And I'm like, universe, just give me everything that I need to deal with right now. Like, give me every
Wow.
lesson that I need to learn. Like, I was brave.
Yeah, for sure.
Every lesson that I need to learn, like, take people out of my life that don't need to be in my life. Like, really just help me clean up my side of the street because I'm fucking done now.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
done with things feeling hard, and I'm so done with feeling like, I'm carrying around all this shit and all this emotional like damage really from so, so long. I might just give it all to me. So the universe did. And for a good year, I was dealing with and still dealing with post-separation abuse, but thankfully I've kind of got a handle on that now. Um, a lot of things cropping up for my girls. They were only 4 and 6 at the time, so going between two houses, they weren't. really keen, being introduced to their new stepmom after a couple of weeks. That didn't go down
Jeez.
too well.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was a month. Maybe it was a month. I can't remember, but
Still, it's hard.
it, it was
Yeah.
hard. Yeah. Um, and I then met a man that I thought was, wow, this is everything I've ever wanted, and it was the biggest lesson in gaslighting,
Yeah.
love bombing, breadcrumbing, control, all of the things all at once. And
Hmm.
that was my real eye-opening moment of, okay, here's all of the lessons all at once.
Hmm.
Going to move through these. How are you
Hmm.
actually going to rebuild your life? And it took a lot of visualization, a lot of me saying no to other people and learning what it was like to say yes to myself because I
Hmm.
hadn't done that before. You
Yeah.
know, I've always been like bottom of the ranks, like yes to everybody else. And if there's any left over, then that goes to me.
Yeah.
You know, like with everything, with money, with time, I was always at the end. And now I
Hmm.
was like, I wonder what it's like if I put myself at the number one spot. Like, what does that
Hmm.
feel like? And I started to understand, you're healing so many parts of you right now.
Yeah.
You're honoring that child that didn't cry when her dad died because she didn't really understand,
Yeah.
how that was going to impact her. You're honoring that woman that stayed in that marriage for too long because she couldn't afford to leave.
Hmm.
You're healing your relationship with money.
Hmm.
You are really understanding what it feels like to chase your dreams and not just settle because you kind of have to follow somebody else's dreams by default, you
Yes.
know? And it was a real moment of me saying, this is what I want my life to look like. Let's actively go out and build that. Let's
Hmm.
actually learn to love the person that I am. And I hadn't done that before, which
Hmm.
is crazy because I was 31
Yeah.
and I hadn't ever, or almost 31, and I hadn't ever fully loved myself as an adult. And to be honest, I don't know if that was even a thought as I was like a teen. And I'm like at 31, I think I'm actually, or I think I was loving myself for the first time ever.
Hmm.
That's like it felt really alien to me to begin with. But I'm like, well, let's try new hobbies because I might actually love them.
Yes.
I'd never been wild swimming and I'd watched all these people go wild swimming. And I'm like, fuck it, let's try it. And I loved it. And
Yeah.
I see people hiking up mountains. I've not been a mountain climber before. Let's go and do that. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't know all this about myself. And
Hmm.
it really made me realize how much of me I'd been suppressing because, well, I was just mum. And
Yeah.
I love my kids more than life itself. But there's also, I'm underneath the title of mum as well.
Hmm.
And that matters.
Yeah.
And nobody had made me feel that before. It
Hmm.
was a case of, well, you're mum now. Like you have to do
Yeah.
mum stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm also Kirsty now. And I also had the bonus of about 9 months into my independent mum life, my girls had started going for overnights with their other parents. So I had those free weekends and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
I can do like I sat on my sofa one time and I'm like, I can do anything I want.
Hmm.
Anything. I can
Hmm.
go away for the weekend by myself if I want.
Yeah.
Nobody minds, nobody cares. I don't have to answer to anyone. And it was almost like imagine keeping like I don't know, like an eagle with huge big wings in a tiny little cage for so long, and then literally taking that eagle and sitting it outside. And it's like I was so scared to spread my wings because I'm like, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was almost like, well, let me just try just a little bit, just a little bit. And then it was like, fuck, I can fly. You
Yeah.
know, like the whole world opened up for me.
Hmm.
Absolutely transformed my life. And that only happened because I chose myself first.
Yeah. 100%. I can resonate with like literally everything that you're saying. And I know so many people will. And I think the thing it's difficult, isn't it, when you've done all that, and don't get me wrong, healing is not over. You're never over. And I think that's a pure massive thing that we need to people need to know. Like there's no glass ceiling. It's never you're healed. And as soon as somebody says they can heal you, you're like,
I know.
what? what I was going to say there is it's I don't know about you, but it's difficult. Like, if you can you think of a thing where like where the turning point was? So if you go back to like when because the whole point of this is like this series of episodes is it's like you're unsure and then we're talking about unstoppable, but I think sometimes it's quite tricky to be like where is the moment, because you've been so much in living in this life now
Yeah.
and you can remember that life, but you're like where is that moment, do you know what I mean? And sometimes it's not a moment, sometimes it's like it's quite a lot of accruing moments, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I had two very pivotal moments for me. One is a story that I've never told, so I'm going to
Mm.
share it with you today. Um, it's honestly it's one of my favorite stories, and it's very like I love that my mum listens to my podcast. I hope she never listens to this with all love and respect. I'm like, Mum, tune out. You don't want to hear this. So after after I moved here, right, moved into my house, and I'm like, right, I feel pretty shitty about myself. You know, we've been
Mm.
through like all of this. It's just life's felt really heavy.
Yeah.
And my friend was round one night, we were having a glass of wine, and she's like, maybe you just need to have sex. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, cool. So she helped me create this online dating profile. And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. And she's like, look, just you never know. You're leaning into all of this, like say yes to myself. So just see what happens.
Yeah.
So I had made this profile and we were just casually going through it and we were having a glass of wine and like giggling about it. It was
Yeah.
just a proper like this is fun. Like we've never done this before. And she's
Yeah.
married, so she had never done that before either, right? So we were
Yeah.
just having a good time. And I matched with this one boy who his location wasn't too far from mine. And I found out that he was a sports coach for the summer at this private school. I'm like, okay, cool. So anyway, we were messaging on and off, and he let me know that he was actually leaving the country the following week. And I'm like, okay, green light for me here, because if all goes wrong,
Yeah.
if all goes wrong, I'm never going to see this guy again.
Yeah.
And I was feeling so empowered at this point. Like I was understanding of you've been through a lot and life has felt heavy, but I was so into just saying yes to new things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's go see what happens. So I went and I met him and we hung out and everything was like fine. It was just very casual. Like nothing had happened that first time, right? We just kind of introduced ourselves more or less. And he was actually staying on site at this private school. So I don't even know if I was meant to be there,
Right.
but I was.
Which
Um,
probably gave you a wee bit more excitement as well, didn't it? Like,
Especially when we were going in, I know that he wasn't meant to have guests over because we had to wait until the security had actually gone so he
right.
could like, sneak me in. And that was like I hadn't felt that thrill and excitement for ages. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It was just something
Mm-hmm.
new and I just loved it. So anyway, the next time that I went over, because he's like, look, I'm leaving in like 4 or 5 days now. I really want to see you again. I'm like, cool, right. I'm going to come over. Let me invite myself over, right? So we went over and we had the most incredible night together, but it was the most like gentle, sensual, tender, like very respectful
Yeah.
hookup situation. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it was like, let's say it for what it is. It was a hookup situation, but it
Mm-hmm.
was very much like, I really value you as a woman. I have honestly, apart from how I feel these days, but back then I had never felt more in love with myself than
Yeah.
how I was made to feel in that moment. And it was just perfect. So when I left, he walked me to my car and he said to me, he's like, I'm coming back next year. I'll see you again next summer. And I'm like, no, you won't. No, you
Yeah.
won't. And anyway, I drove off, left him in like a cloud of dust from all these like stones from my car. And it was just like the most like universally like entwined situation. Like just that crossing of paths, that brief, like that
Yeah.
one night, you know, it was nothing more than that. It was nothing weird. I felt incredible. He felt
Mm-hmm.
incredible. Like it was just what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fast forward, so that would have been the end of the summer. 2018. Fast forward to the March 2019, and I had written a book or a chapter for a book with 17 other women, and we'd all written a note back to our younger selves.
Beautiful.
So that was the most healing inner child
Yeah.
experience ever. A very hard thing to write,
Hmm.
but I'd actually written it. That was my go-to thing during my divorce. It was like, where can I channel all like everything of how I'm feeling? And it was
Yeah.
in this chapter. So I wrote a note back or a whole letter back to this 4-year-old version of me and was basically saying to her, like, this is how life is going to go. And you know what? Spend some time with your dad because you've only got 5, 6 more years with him at
Yeah.
this point. Um, Also spend some time with your mum because
Mm.
you're kind of favoring your dad right now. And you know what? When he's gone, you're not
You
going to
need
have
to.
the closest relationship with your mum, and you need that to be okay because
Hmm.
she's also going to just about to lose her husband, you
Yeah.
know? So we were talking about that in this letter and talking a lot about the times where I hadn't chosen myself from being a child. You know, I was
Hmm.
always just going along with everybody else. I spoke about my own divorce. I spoke about everything, really preparing this 4-year-old version of me. And it was a beautiful experience. So,
Hmm.
as part of that, we flew down to Windsor to go to this big fancy book launch in this gorgeous big venue. And when I was on my way to the airport, I was told, you're going to meet this lady at the airport. So, by the lady that had organized the whole project, the whole book, she said to me, meet this lady at the airport and come, you're going to get a chauffeur car together from Heathrow Airport to Windsor. I'm like, okay, fine. And at this point, I had £65 in my bank account. Okay,
Hmm.
not a lot of money. I got the plane down to Heathrow, and when I came off the plane, my phone was still in airplane mode. I hadn't realised, right? And I'm texting this woman. I'm like, I'm at the meeting place. Where are you? Are you here? Messages were failing to send. And
Shit.
I'm like, oh no, I need to get this car. I need to go. And I'm like, what do I do? And I didn't even know where the chauffeur car was at this point. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and this lady is an international money coach, and I knew that I wanted to go into coaching at this point. And I'm
Hmm.
like, that would have been such a beautiful moment with her in the
Hmm.
car to talk about money, to talk about finances, because when I had left my marriage, I only had £3 to my name. Like I was stone cold broke at the time.
Yeah.
But having a car ride for 45 minutes with an international money coach, what an incredible opportunity,
Absolutely.
you know? And I couldn't find her. I'm like,
Shit.
so I thought, right, maybe she's just left without me. I automatically had that feeling of she's better than me, so much better than
Mm.
me. She'll have all this money. Like, she's not been living life how I've been living life the last year. And like, maybe she's just got the car and just went. Like, why would she wait for me? And it was very much me taking myself from being up here to be
Hmm.
like, no, actually, let's bring you back down because you
Yeah.
belong down here. So I went outside and I had to say to one of the black taxi cab drivers, how much is it going to cost to take me to Windsor? And he's like, I'll do it for £60. And I'm like, great, I'm left with £5.
Hmm.
How fun. So I had no other choice. So anyway, I got to Windsor. After the first night, we had this big book launch, and this money coach had come over to me. And I thought, because she's like, I need to talk to you. And I'm like,
Hmm.
fuck, here we go. It's going to be like, you didn't wait on me, and I had to wait by myself or whatever. And she's like, I heard you've got a really interesting story to tell.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay. And she's like, can I hear it? And I'm like, what story do you want? Because I'm
Oh my
like,
God.
got all these stories at this point. And she's like, I want to know specifically about your money story. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I told her how when my parents had separated, my mum and I had gone to a chip shop one night, and my mum had ordered food for me and for her. But when she came to pay for it, I just remember looking up at her. I was only 7.5 at the time. She opened her purse and I could hear the money moving about in her purse. And she said to the lady that was serving us, she's like, I'm really sorry, but can I put my food back? Let me just get my daughter's food.
Yeah.
So, as much as it looked like shame and failure, like pure humility on my mum's face,
Hmm.
I felt chosen in that moment. I'm like,
Yeah,
my mum
yeah.
loves me so much. Like, I feel unconditional love. She's choosing me and feeding me over feeding her. And I
Hmm.
honestly made the biggest association with a lack of money means unconditional love. So
Hmm.
that was the beginning of my money story. And then when my dad died a couple of years later, my brother and I were in this boardroom. And I just remember my mum sitting there and my brother and I, and then all these men in these grey suits. And this one man slid these two bits of paper towards my brother and I. And he was like, kids, turn it over. So I turned it over, I looked at it, and I didn't really know what I was looking at. But it turns out that it was a check. I just knew that it had a big amount of money on it.
Hmm.
And you were told this is your inheritance money from the loss of your dad.
Hmm.
And I was just like, I miss my dad.
Aye.
Looking at all of this money, I feel pain, I
Alienating.
feel loss.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little girl just wants her dad back. So
Mm-hmm.
I associated an abundance of money with pain, loss, and sacrifice.
Yes,
So
I actually got total goosebumps there. Oh my goodness.
this is why. So I actually have a program with my coaching business called Unfuck Your Money Story, and it's based on this because everyone has a money story. Most people's money
Yeah,
stories are pretty fucked until they actually do the proper dedicated work.
yeah.
So I told this story to this money coach, and she was like, "Wait, so you went from a lack of money means unconditional love to an abundance of money means pain, loss, and sacrifice." And of course, you left your marriage with £3. Of course, you
Mm.
turned up at this book launch with the biggest moment of your career so far with £5 in your bank.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course, because the moments where you want to feel loved, you attract the lack.
yeah.
Like, oh, that's very interesting. So she said to me, she's like, I don't care what you coach right now, you need to coach on this. And that for
Wow.
me was the biggest permission slip ever. Because I looked at this woman thinking, you've got an incredible life, a gorgeous lifestyle, you're a phenomenal coach. Like, I would
Mm-hmm.
love to even be in her orbit somehow.
Yeah.
And she was saying to me, like, you need to teach this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, right, okay. So we had this beautiful conversation, and I came home from Windsor knowing this is it. Like, I'm on this path now to be coaching on money mindset, to really coach on the frequency of money and how we can change our identity in line with, the wealth that we want to attract into our life. And
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, that's what I do now. Um, so off the back of feeling on top of the world, the first thing that I manifested back into my life was a text from the guy from the summer before.
Wow.
So he had texted me and he's like, "Hey Kirsty, I'm back in the country." I'm like, "Of course you are. Of course you are." And he's like, "Do you want to hang out?" And I thought, you know what? You actually do want to hang out? Of
Yeah, yeah.
course you do. Why would you not? It was beautiful the first time. You're really healing so many parts of your self-worth here because you're actually in a really good place now.
Mm-hmm.
You're really actively choosing yourself. So I went back again and we had the most passionate, gorgeous night together. And in between everything that was happening, we were telling these really funny stories of him traveling the world and my
Mm-hmm.
vision for the future and what he wants to do with his life. And just all, it was just so gorgeous. And it was like the universe was just like, see, look at all these amazing people
Yeah.
surround yourself with. And they were all brought to me in the most weird ways, like
Mhm.
not just like a random, like you bump into someone at the school gates. Like these were really weird situations that these people were just cropping up in.
Yeah.
The most unexpected, beautiful situations all the time. So when I left after that second time, he actually said to me, he's like, I am coming back next summer. And I'm like, no. He's like, will we go for the hat trick? That was his last thing that he said to me. And I'm like, no. I'm like, because actually I will have a boyfriend by then. And he just
Mhm.
waved and I waved and it was fine. Like we left on such gorgeous, gorgeous terms. And it was funny because the following summer, I did get a text from him, but it was different because we were in lockdown at this point.
Ah, of
I'd met
course.
my boyfriend, I'd met him, he had moved to my town, and after about 4.5 months, we went into lockdown. So I'm like, look, I'm scared. Just come stay at my house for lockdown. It's only going to be 2 weeks, right? That's
Mm.
what we thought at the time. So I'm like, come up to my house. So anyway, I got a message from this guy, and because he was originally from South Africa. So I just had his number saved in my phone as South Africa. And as you do. And because he used to call me Scotland, that's where the whole thing came from. So my partner Michael was actually holding my phone for whatever reason, and this message came through, and it just said South Africa, and it was just like, "Hi Kirsty, how are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, you've got a message," and he's like, "From South Africa." And of course, you'd be holding my phone at that exact moment. So he gave me my phone anyway, and I looked at it, and I just laughed, and I actually showed him the message because he knew the story anyway.
Yeah.
And the message was, "You look so happy. I'm so proud
Mm.
of you. I'm so glad everything's fallen into place." He's like, "I've met someone as well, like just wanted to check in on you during lockdown." And I'm like, "How beautiful
Oh.
is that?
Mm.
How beautiful is that?" And it's funny because so he's gone on and got married to someone called Kirsty, who was
No.
originally from Scotland. And I
What?
that's like the universe total had its doing in all of that, in all of
Yeah.
that. And it was funny because he was the first person that I told about me wanting to go into all of this money coaching. And he's
Hmm.
like, "You have to do it." He's like, "You have to." And I'm like, "You know what? I actually do because the
Hmm.
universe is clearly like meddling in all of
Was
this."
like,
Yeah, 100%. And I'm like, "Right, I'm listening. I'm listening." I
yeah.
asked to give me everything that I needed.
Hmm.
And it did with the most random situations, but it did
Hmm.
give me everything. And I'm
Hmm.
like, "Right, well, now that you have it, you have to take it and run with it." And that's
Hmm.
kind of what's got me to where I am now, from that big moment of give me all of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Incredible. I love that. That's what a fabulous story. And it's incredible how someone who can have such an impact on your life, who
Yeah,
actually didn't stay in your life
I know.
forever. Like it was just like these little moments, and yet he's had such a massive and been so supportive as well. Like it's
I know.
amazing as well.
It was for
100%.
me, it was that big moment of yes, you can trust a man. Yes,
Mm,
with a man, you're safe to be vulnerable. You're safe to be seen as
yeah,
yourself. It was all of these things all wrapped up in this moment. And it was also, let's like talk about what it actually was. You can also have pleasure without attachment.
yeah,
You're not owe anybody anything.
yeah,
Say
for
yes to
sure.
yourself, choose yourself. There doesn't need to be shame with any of this. There doesn't need
Hmm.
to be like you don't need to think bad about yourself. Like
Hmm.
there was absolutely none of that at all. And I'll always put South Africa down as my biggest
So,
lesson in self-worth.
yeah,
I was really like, and myself, I'm actually appreciated and
yeah.
respected, and I feel safe and I feel cared for, and I
Hmm.
can share what's on my heart, I can share my goals, my dreams, and I'm told, you know what, go for it. Go
Yeah,
for it, do your thing,
absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. And I think that safe word is so important, isn't it? Because it is a massive thing. It's being feeling safe with men, but also feeling safe within yourself and having
Yeah,
the trust within yourself is massive, like hugely massive. I ended up having a male coach after obviously I was in a domestic abuse relationship for a long period of time, and I specifically went for a male coach. And at the time, I didn't realise why, but after it or during it, I realised actually this has shaped so much of like my healing, and he had no idea really because it made me be able to trust that. Like I told him everything. He probably knew more than what my friends knew. Do you know what I mean? Because I would just be so open, and it made me be able to trust a man again,
yeah,
even though he was my coach and whatever. But like it was these little things, and at the time it was a two fingers up. Because I would never have been allowed to have a male coach, like not a chance. So at the first it was like I'll get a male coach because do you know what I mean? But then it transpired that actually it was so much more than a coaching, like 'cause he was a personal trainer, so it was like personal training, nutrition, all that sort of stuff. But but he does a lot of mindset stuff as well. But I then had this extra layer of this trust that I was like, it really made me realise actually all men are not the same. You can trust men, you can open up, you can be vulnerable, it is okay, nobody's gonna, and he held space for me that was like, there wasn't a ulterior motive. There wasn't a pulling you down when you're feeling shit. I mean, he would still like give me what I needed when I needed it. Do you know what I mean? But in a really wholesome way. So it made me like feel safe and be able to trust, and it created such a beautiful extra that I totally wasn't expecting.
yeah.
Do
Yeah,
you know
and
what I
see,
mean?
I love that. I'm such a huge believer in the universe really giving us what we need, not
Hmm.
necessarily what we want at the time and not also what we think we need. But I'm like, the universe knows better than you do.
Yeah,
Calm down, just accept what's been served, and it will all make sense eventually. And
yeah,
I mean, I love that for you, being able to,
yeah,
again, that's going from the whole fuck you to fuck yes,
yeah,
moment, saying like, I'm
100%.
doing this, out of resentment and out of look what I can do now, to
Mm-hmm.
actually be like, you know what, like this has been the best thing for me.
100%, and it
Oh,
really, really was. I was with him for like
that-
3 years, and it was a massive, massive thing. So obviously in that period of time, there's a whole load of stuff there.
Yeah,
What do you, so seeing that shift, what did you have to let go of?
I had to let go of a lot of the pain, a
Yeah.
lot of the I'm doing this because I came from that
Hmm.
scenario. And rather than building my business and building this new life based upon that pain, I had to
Hmm.
be like, you know what? What if you actually just focus on the present and the future rather than the past?
Yeah.
The past didn't exist. How would you make your life out to be from here on out?
Yeah.
Well, and I could have continued to build based upon that pain, but then it always would have been a constant reminder of you've got this because you came from here. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I've got this because of who I actually am and how I
Hmm.
show up and the kids that I raise and the love that I pour into my family. And, it was that real moment of almost division of saying that that doesn't serve me anymore. And yes,
Yeah.
it was past. Yes, it made me who I am now. But why would I give my future, like, why would I credit my past to what I'm creating in my future?
Yeah.
Creating all of this because of him and that situation and all of that. I'm doing
Yeah.
all of it because of who I am. And he
Yeah.
didn't create me, I created me. And
Yeah.
that decision was, and that realization is really what changed everything moving forward.
What surprised you about yourself?
Um, how much shit I could actually take. Because I took a
Yeah.
lot, an
Mm.
awful lot, from a lot of people. A lot of people let me down. A lot of
Hmm.
people that I thought were friends turned out just to be in my world, just to get the inside scoop of what was going on. It surprised me how shit some people could be.
Yeah.
People that don't want to see you win, like they're gonna play you fucking dirty. And
Hmm.
I'm like, you know what? That actually just gives me the ick.
Hmm.
Like, that's not,
Hmm.
I don't play at that level. Like, I'm
Yeah.
so beyond that. And almost like I have a love-hate relationship with the word resilience because
Hmm.
I think it's like so many women are told, oh, you're so resilient and I'm so proud of you because of what you've been through. But we shouldn't be looking at what we're creating and saying, you know what, I've created this because of how resilient I am. It actually sucks you've had to be so resilient.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
actually shit that you've had to be so resilient. And I feel bad for people that are like, I'm such a resilient person. I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, like you're strong, you're powerful, and it's actually really shit that you've had to be resilient because
Yeah.
I don't like it when other people go through pain. Um,
Yeah.
but it has let me see how much I can take and still not feel defeated.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, I can take all of this and make something incredible out of it. I'm not
Yeah.
taking all of this and sitting and being like, my life is over and this happened and that
Yeah.
happened. Like, that's okay to have your moment of feeling like
Yeah.
that. Right? Like, you can feel like that, but that's not your life.
Yeah.
That's not your life.
Yeah. I think 2 points you made there with the friendship one. First of all, I think this is a big thing when it comes to when you step into personal development or growth or transformation or healing. Like not everybody can come with you, and that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow because when you're so used to these, whomever they are, whether it's friends or family or colleagues or whatever it is, not everybody understands it. And sometimes when you start to do that healing, one, you start to open up like the blinkers come off and you start to see things for what they are.
Yeah.
But two, you're holding a mirror up often to these people and they are not ready for it. And sometimes you need to like not have resentment towards them and just like allow that that is their path and that is their choice and that is the way they want to live their life. And sometimes you need to either sever or just reduce or remove yourself a little bit from these people because ultimately it's that whole fly with the crows you die with the crows, isn't it? Like
100%. You know, I made my world so small, so,
Mm-hmm.
so, so small when I stepped into independent mum life. And I, by the way, just to point out, I call it independent mum life and not single mum life because I'm like, I'm a strong, independent woman. We're not focused
Mm,
on relationship status here. You
yeah.
know, I wanted so much detachment from all of that. So when I stepped into independent mum life, I made my world so small. And I'm talking about it was me, my girls at 4 and 6, my mum and my stepdad. That was my circle. I cut
Mm-hmm.
out 99.9% of friendships.
Yeah.
The friends that are in my world now, I don't even think I knew them when I was going
Yeah.
through this. Because, like I said, I was growing at such a rapid speed
Mm-hmm.
that it was almost to give myself credit, but also not to throw shade on anyone else. It was almost like people just couldn't keep up with where I was going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sucks sometimes, right? Because you're going to lose some people that you do enjoy being with, but also I can't hang about for anyone else.
Yeah.
You know, I need to
Yeah.
choose myself. I need to say yes to myself. If I'm going to grow at a rapid pace, let me do that, and then I'll make friends when I land.
Yeah. And this is
Ah,
it, like you will find your people, isn't it? Like when you go into this space, when you allow yourself to surrender and to step into these other environments, you find your tribe. And that
yeah.
tribe is a beautiful tribe.
100%. And, you know, even the people closest to me at the time, you know, I remember my mum, I was listening to some Joe Dispenza stuff. We were
Mm,
away for a weekend and I had some Joe Dispenza stuff on and I was getting ready. And she actually said to me, "You're listening to that brainwashing bullshit again."
my mum says it.
Yeah, I'm like, with the most love in the world, this stuff's going to change my life.
Yeah.
And I laugh about it now because it did change my life. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I just need to honor the moment and just not like the people that are in my inner circle. I need to love them, but sometimes I need to take a step back and just love them
Yeah.
from a distance and be like,
100%.
I know you're there, but right now I can't be like side by side with you because
Hmm.
I also I'm quite busy focusing on me rebuilding over here. But I
Yeah.
promise like, I'm not going far. Like you're coming with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
As much as that we have a close relationship now, very close, but there's conversations that I just won't have with her.
Yeah. 100%. I can totally, totally resonate with that. I went to see Tony Robbins in September in
Mhm.
Germany, right?
Oh wow.
Absolutely fucking tremendous, right? So amazing. But obviously, my mum's not like similar to you. Like, she's not in that whole space and she doesn't understand it, and that's fine. That's her decision and whatever. But I remember she was freaking out when I was going because I was going myself. I was staying in the hostel, but it was like that pure empowerment. I felt like I'm
Yeah.
fucking doing this. Like, and I had followed Tony Robbins for a long time, and it was like a massive, big kind of goal to actually see him in the flesh. And she was like, I'd been on the plane and stuff like that. When I opened up my phone, I had about 12 WhatsApp messages. Right, wait, tell me, if you do not contact me, I'm going to contact the police, all this. Bear in mind, this was like September there, so I was like 39, nearly 40, right? And then she starts giving it, that's a cult. That is he does he makes all this money and and if he's got all this money, why does he need to do these big things? And do you know what I mean? Like she was like, oh, I was like, but like he is just do you know how many people he actually positively impacts? Do you know how many people how many people he feeds because of these things? He's a businessman. Of course he's got like he's going to make money. That's the point. Like that is the point of being a businessman. They're going to sell you all this other stuff and thing. You need to watch you don't buy into this and buy into this. And I was like, Mum, I'm very aware like how these things work. Do you know what I mean? But so anyway, she was talking about this cult and cult. And do you know what? The first day we were doing the firewalk thing. So,
Uh-huh.
and I'd done a firewalk before, but I mean, it's still now Tony Robbins are like, get into state, get into state. So we had to get into state and shout, yes, yes. And it's obviously to stop the kind of monkey voice, if you like, coming in and sabotaging. So you were to chant, yes, yes, all the way down. And we had to go out of the arena, away along the street in the middle of Germany, away along the street to this park where they had all the fire sitting. So there was like lanes and lanes and lanes of fire. So there's 14,000 people chanting, yes,
Wow.
yes, yes. In the street, right? And I was like videoing it. And I was like, I feel like sending this to my mum. So she'll be like, maybe that's a wee bit of a cult. But it's a
Seriously,
fucking good cult.
what the fuck?
Do you know what I mean? But like that, like maybe it is, but like also like it's positively impacting my life. It's making things change for the greater good. Do you know what I mean? And it's so funny, like you say, like sometimes me and my mum's, because sometimes I love my mum to bits, but we can be at absolute loggerheads because we're in totally different like planes of like growth and understanding and knowledge and but it's that generation, isn't it? That generation are a bit stuck in their ways. Not all of them, but a lot of them are just, it's that tunnel vision. They'll put the news on and all that. See, when I walk into mum and dad's house, I'm like, get
Yeah,
that shit off.
I
What are
know.
you
It's
doing?
wild. It is wild. I don't even like I can't have the news on ever.
Yeah,
I don't have the news on.
nor
I
near
told
done.
my boyfriend we have this understanding, and we have had for the last 6.5 years. When there's world news that impacts me, please filter it and tell me it. Apart from
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I don't need to know.
100%. I say all the time, I live in my own wee world. Like, I have no idea what's going on. And my friend's quite into like politics and American politics and all that sort of stuff. And she'll say things to me, and I'm just like, I have
Yeah,
no idea what you're talking about. None, like
yeah,
none. To the point she's like, do you open your eyes? So what planet are you on? So we spoke before we came on here about motherhood, right? And we're both in a very similar position where you have a teen and a preteen, don't you?
yeah. So
And
they're almost 12 and 14.
and like we talked a little bit about this before we came on air, but like obviously I have two teens, so I'm 14 and 17.
Hmm.
And wow,
Yeah,
wow, is that a shift? And we were saying before about how when we speak to people who have younger kids, and that, not to say that that's not difficult, of course it is, but buckle up because the
yeah.
teenage years, wow, it's a whole
Mhm.
nother level. But do you know what I have noticed in having these older kids is, and I've spoken about this quite a lot, is how much you, as a mum, your identity totally shifts because
100%.
you go from having this like they need me, like bit like you were saying about when you split up from your ex-husband and then you had this time where you're like, what
Yeah.
did I do with myself? And it's funny because there's that big massive shift as your kids get a little bit older where they don't need you or they don't think they need you, but really they kind of do. But they'll never admit that. And then you've got like I'll sometimes say to the kids, come on, we'll watch a wee film, and they're like, no.
No, I don't want to. No.
It's a huge identity shift, and I think it's something like people don't really talk about. Like we don't talk about like how you shift your identity along with your children's shifts.
I know it's wild, and I have to say, like I've often said with kids, the next stage, like, oh, this is the best one yet, the best one yet. Like I will say, raising a preteen and a teen, like very soon to be two teens, has been the most turbulent and the most tricky and triggering. But
Yeah,
I fucking love it.
yeah,
Like my
yeah,
kids are so cool, and I'm sure like everybody's kids like they think this of their own, but I love hanging out with my kids. Like we
yeah,
have such a laugh. We are just it's two girls I have, so we're very, very close. We have very open communication about so much. The questions that my 14-year-old has asked me, I'm like, fuck, how do I answer that? Um, just like
yeah.
yeah, I'm just like, how graphic do I
Wait a
really want
minute.
to hear? Like, let me just check in with myself. Um,
Yeah.
because of that, it's meant that, she's has navigated a very turbulent last 10 months. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she actually stopped seeing her dad. So a very, very, very tricky situation, heartbreaking for her. Um,
Mm-hmm.
grieving a relationship that she thought she had when ultimately she realized that it wasn't what she thought. And
Yeah,
as much as I wanted to jump in and be like, well, I'm your mum, I'll fix it, I
yeah.
can't fix that.
No,
It's ultimately got nothing to do with me.
yeah.
Oh,
Especially at that age. Yeah,
yeah, and especially not having not even a co-parenting situation, but a parallel parenting, like very grey rock communication. We don't talk, we don't have to, there's nothing to be said there situation.
yeah,
Um, I've had to, with my daughter, just create the safest space to almost be her soft landing for when she needs it.
yeah.
And we have had the deepest, most emotional moments over the
Beautiful.
last 9 or 10 months. I never had that with my mum, ever,
Yeah,
not at all. And it makes me feel so proud that I can be that for her and also for my other daughter too. it makes me so proud that I can be that kind of mum, but also it's that massive big mirror to me to be like, you didn't feel this supported when you were her age, and
Yeah.
you had to suppress how you were really feeling. I
Mhm.
lost my dad the 8th of July. I turned 11 in the September. So right at that kind of like pivotal moment
It's a
of,
hard time. Yeah.
yeah, I'm going into that preteen stage and I'm like, I don't understand grief. I don't really understand how I'm feeling. And my brother was living with my dad, so he came back to live with us. And it was very, very turbulent. And as much as I love that my mum kept it moving and we very much went through the paces of life,
Mhm.
uh, I didn't feel like I could really share how much I was struggling with stuff. So to be able to be that mum for my daughters when I don't have the blueprint to follow,
Yeah.
that I had to tap into so much of my inner strength.
Mhm.
And like, yeah, it's reduced my capacity for a lot of stuff over the last year because, like, I mean, I've had to pick my daughter up off the floor, when she's
Mhm.
been upset. And Boxing Day night was spent lying in her bed holding her as she was absolutely heartbroken. So
Mhm.
I've sacrificed a lot and I've had to reduce my capacity for a lot of other things. But I'm like, you know what? That's exactly what my child needs at that point. Why wouldn't I
Mhm.
do? Why
Yeah,
wouldn't I be
absolutely.
that person for her? And ultimately, my girls and I, we have the most beautiful relationship. The
Mhm.
laughs that we have, honestly, I've never laughed so much in my life. They're incredible
Beautiful.
girls and I'm very proud of them. They trigger me on a daily basis.
Yes, of course, of
So
course.
many things. Teenagers these days are so different to even when we were teens.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so different. And I'm trying to be like that cool mum that understands and that,
Yeah.
yes, I'll give you your freedom, but also I do have some pretty strict boundaries.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
lines that you will not cross, and there will be consequences if you do. You're 14 years old
Yeah,
and 11
yeah.
years old. However, come talk to me.
Mhm.
I'm cool enough to give you leeway with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Um, and it's actually meant that some of their friends talk to me about stuff, and I'm like,
Mhm.
you might want to also loop your mum in on this conversation because it's quite big. I love that I can be that mum for for my daughter's friend groups, but also
Push in a
when it comes
position. Yeah,
to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a very loving but hard
Mhm.
season of
Yeah,
motherhood. And I'll tell you one thing, it carves out a next level version of you when you
for
go through
sure.
it because
For sure.
it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. I had a message from just a random woman on Facebook um, about a month ago, and she's like, "Your daughter has sent my daughter voicemails or voice notes saying this. They're disgusting and vile voice notes and
What?
all this stuff." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"What the hell? That does not sound like my daughter." And
yeah,
I knew
yeah.
of this woman's daughter. I didn't know who her mum was, but when she said her daughter's name, I knew who it was. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, right, I'll go and talk to my daughter, send me the voice notes just so I can hear them and kind of so that I've got some context as to what's going on. So she was like, oh, well, I think it was your daughter. I'm
Wow,
like,
tune changed.
what? And I'm like, what do you mean you think it's my daughter? I'm like, that's quite a strong accusation because she's like, we're going to get authorities involved. My
Yeah,
daughter
yeah.
feels harassed, all this. And I'm like, was it or wasn't it? I'm like, can you please go and speak to your daughter? And I'm going to go and have a word with mine. And she came back. She's like, very sorry, got my wires crossed. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
That could
me,
have caused absolute carnage.
it
Yeah.
could have. It could have. And even just little fleeting moments like that, I could have gone through to my daughter all guns blazing. What the hell? What the hell?
Mhm.
But it's like, no, hold on. Let me use some discernment here and actually, advocate for my daughter and really choose the high road in so many situations
Mhm.
because it could have gone south very quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's created a horrible situation. And ultimately, my daughter doesn't even have this girl on any form of social media. She's like, I don't even have her number. How can I call her?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And it ended up all being nothing and the total wrong person. But I'm like, what the hell?
I
So even
know.
moments like that, like they change who you are and how you show up.
Absolutely. But that's also a testament to you and how much you've grown because probably if you were still in the kind of pre-healing, if you like, stage,
Yeah.
you would have been much more reactive because your nervous system would have been all over the shop and you would have been that kind of a straight away got all guns blazing. Whereas obviously because you've done so much work in yourself that you can recognise, right, you can be a bit more logical about it and detach the emotion until you have all the information, and then go wherever you need to go.
And you know that actual thing, that's down to such a strong mindset shift because I had
Yeah.
that mindset before of like back when my girls were younger. Well, if he texts you, you have to respond straight away. If your mum
Mhm.
texts you, my mum's also like that rapid texter, like, where are you? I'm coming round. Why are you not
Yeah.
answering? Are you alive? And I'm like, you have to respond. Like you have
Mhm.
to, there's urgency to get back to don't worry about how you're feeling. There's
Mhm.
urgency to answer everybody else.
Yeah.
Until I realized, even up to that message coming through the other last month or whatever, you don't need to respond. Like, get the message,
Take a
figure out
minute.
the story, tune
Mhm.
into yourself, just get your ducks in a row and then respond when you're actually calm and there's no pressure, like there's none of that.
Mhm.
That was massive for me because that was me being like, you know what, it's not my nervous system firing
Mhm.
on all cylinders here, being like, oh, we have to like quick, quick, quick. There's so much urgency here. It was
Mhm.
actually like, it's fine, there's no rush.
Yeah.
Figure out what's going on, get a grasp of the bigger picture here, and then just actually respond as a grown woman rather
Yeah.
than that victim. And I think so many people get stuck there,
Yeah,
you know?
100%. So, do you know, after that whole thing with my mum when I went to see Tony Robbins, the first day, apart from the chanting and all that stuff, he was talking about all these different human needs, right? And it wasn't like Maslow's hierarchy, it was to do with like uncertainty, certainty, significance, all this sort of stuff. And it gave me a little moment of like realization that my mum needed certainty. She needed to be certain that I was okay. Whereas I'm a bit of an uncertain person. I'm a bit of a fuck it, like whatever, do this, whatever. And it just gave me, because at the first part, when I first got all these messages, I was a bit frustrated. Like, I'm like, for fuck's sake. But then when I sat and listened, all this stuff I know, do you know what I mean? But it was like, you just had that moment of, remember this, and it was like, oh, actually, that's just because she needs certainty, and that's her need. My need is uncertainty, and that's why it clashes sometimes. But when you can understand somebody else and have that like understanding towards different people's behaviors, then it allows you to meet it at a different place. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think really one massive thing, like my core value in life is human connection. So
Yeah,
understanding how people communicate with others and how people show up for other people in their lives, like I find all of that so fascinating.
yeah,
And my mum is very similar in the sense that she needs me to be okay.
yeah,
And she needs that confirmation that I'm okay. You
yeah.
know, not long after I actually moved here, my older brother completely walked out of our lives as well for reason unknown to me and my mum. He literally said, I'm going to Tesco, I'll be back soon, and we just never saw him again.
Oh no.
He is it's the most random situation because I've passed him in like a coffee shop a couple of times.
Oh
Don't
God.
think he stays in this town. This town's far too small for me to have not seen him in so long. Um I don't even know what the whole story is there. Like I just don't
Yeah.
get it. My mum doesn't either. Um and like it took a global lockdown and he still never got in touch. It's I
Mhm.
don't know what the whole situation is, but I know that like blood family, my
Mhm.
mum only has me and my two daughters.
Yeah.
She needs to know I'm okay.
Yeah.
And as much as I can be reactive and be like, look, just let me breathe, like this feels suffocating, I
Mhm.
need to honor the fact that I can help her nervous system relax
Yeah.
by just being like, you know what, like I'm fine. I'm
Like
busy
understanding.
on my
Yeah.
phone. Yeah. And I think having that level of understanding is something that, I never massively had grown up. I wasn't shown
Mhm.
that as an example, but I can be the change.
Absolutely, and that's it. And I think we are the generation of the change. And I think
Yeah.
what you were talking about with the girls as well is like maybe you didn't have that blueprint as you said growing up, but and probably not having it, it's allowed you to be like that. Actually, this is what I need to do for my children, and it's gave you that shift. Do you know what I mean? Where you can understand I didn't have that, so I must provide this for my kids so that they don't have to go through X, Y, and Z. I mean, we're never going to protect them from everything, but it's been a massive learning curve for you. You've not just like repeated a old pattern. You've actually been like, right, hold on a minute, how can I learn from this? How can I shift it and make it better for my own offspring,
Yeah,
which will then be better for their offspring, and so on and so forth. And then that creates the ripple, doesn't it? Um,
exactly.
so you have your own podcast, which is exciting, and loving yourself is what it's called. Loving yourself every time, is that right?
It's called LYFE, so it's Life with Kirsty Kayn, and then the life is
Okay,
spelled with a Y, so it's love yourself first every time,
I love
because
that.
that has been my mantra for so long. It's been what's changed my life completely.
Yeah, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Real life is messy, as we know, and I think the loving yourself is I speak about this quite often. It is a massive thing when it comes to females and where their lack of belief, like or even any limiting belief. I would say most of it, if you were to get to the crux of most of the stories that people are telling themselves, it's that lack of love. It's that lack of feeling enough.
Mhm.
What did choosing yourself actually look like, especially while raising kids and building a business? So if we think about more in the kind of more latter stages,
Yeah.
what did that actually look like?
It looked like me saying no to a lot of other people, but yes to myself.
Yeah.
So even things like me choosing this is who I want to be in a relationship with, this is what I want life to look like. And you know what, if that means that I can't be out every weekend with friends and stuff, then so be it. You know,
Yeah.
it was really all about me having the future perspective of this is what I want life to look like.
Mhm.
Why would I just cross my fingers and hope that that happens when
Yeah.
I have the energy and the mental ability to create that now? Why
Mhm.
would I not start to create that now? Because I've got huge goals and a huge vision for my life that's really fucking scarily big. And
Yeah.
you know what? I don't want to just make 50 vision boards over 50 years about a life that could have happened
Yeah.
and just do it now. Why don't
Mhm.
I just start the ball rolling and keep the ball rolling now?
Mhm.
Why don't I just actively every single day ask myself, what can I do to serve my highest self today? You
Yeah.
know, that one decision, that one conversation, that one message you send, or that one thing that you think when you look at yourself in the mirror, like it all adds up. You know, it
Yeah.
all adds up. And having the bravery and the courage to really set as big a vision for myself as what I have has been massive. Like that's been monumental to
Yeah.
me changing because I couldn't have that vision if I didn't choose myself,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. 100%. I think people underestimate how much they can achieve in a long period of time and overestimate how much they can achieve in a short period of time. I think it's so important to think about like what is the big picture, and equally, like you said there, it's about getting to work as well. Like there's manifesting, but what people think manifesting is isn't necessarily what manifesting is. And like you can't just wish it and it's all coming true. Like, but if you can create that big picture and then you can kind of reverse engineer it backwards, like what's the first step? What do I need
Yeah.
to do today? And then that then builds and builds and builds, and over time, before you know it, you've got this goal and whatever. And I
Yeah.
think it's like it's important to like really tell people that it's like you can't just wish it and it's coming true.
I know.
Equally, what is the big thing? What is the overarching like scary shit?
Yeah.
But break it down and make it, and then it's less scary, and then that first step it feels so much more achievable.
Exactly. And you know, I came from a very like hustle background. I was in
Mhm.
survival mode for years when I
Mhm.
moved into this house. You know, I was, let me see how far I can get my back against the wall and watch me make money from a place of survival. And it worked, right? But it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my whole thing with how I approach my bigger vision now is it has to feel good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to romanticize the shit out of life en route. You know, I've just
Yeah.
built a whole coffee bar in my kitchen with a bougie coffee machine and a nice big coffee station and a nice little coffee shop sign and everything. So I fucking love bougie coffee. You know,
Yeah.
I want to be able to sit down on a call or whatever with a nice fancy coffee. Like I want to romanticize the shit out of life. And
Mhm.
I want it to feel easy and effortless. Like, yeah, I could rush my way to that goal and push myself through everything, but I don't want to live life like that. You
Yeah.
know, let me
100%.
enjoy life and let me romanticize it and let life feel so fucking magnetic and abundant and beautiful
Mhm.
while we're in the trenches with kids and moving
Mhm.
through all of that. And let's not lose sight of this bigger vision here. You know,
Mhm.
'cause
And remembering the girls are watching as well. Like they are literally watching you. They're going to mirror what you are doing.
yeah, you know, we drove round a really fancy house and estate a couple of weeks ago that I used to take them to when they were younger. And as we were driving, it was my oldest daughter that was with me, and she was like, "Oh my God, I remember being here before." And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, do you remember these houses? And she's like, that's the house I said I want as my forever house. And I'm like, yeah, let's go and have a look at these houses and imagine what it'd be like to live here. And I'm like, something like that, like it feels good for me, right? It's stretchy for your imagination. But she's 14 and she loved it too. And she came home and she tidied all her room and we went to IKEA the other weekend and she's like, I want some nice new shelves and some LEDs for like behind. She got a new headboard for a bed and she wants it all like lit up, like all fancy and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? You're harnessing that bigger picture vision as
Yeah.
well, in your own way. And it's so important,
Hmm.
rather
And
than
it's
being
just
like,
planting that seed, isn't it? It's like a little
yeah,
seed. Yeah.
yeah, rather than being like, work hard at school, aim big, get a good job, do this, do this, do this. It's feel this, how does this
Hmm.
feel for you? Let
Hmm.
me take you on this journey and let me show you this. And how does that feel?
Hmm.
Completely different approach.
Yeah.
And it's all about, yeah, smashing your goals, but in a way that feels so fucking good for you
Yeah.
and not through hustle and grind, but through like pleasure and ease and this feel.
Intention as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
intention. I
100%.
think feeling is such a big, I know both of us do visualization stuff, so like, and that is a massive part of the visualization is like, how does it feel? And when you're looking at like your future self or whatever, tapping into the feeling of it, because when you can tap into the feeling of it, you can then get a much more of a surge to be like, I fucking want that. Like, I
Yeah.
want to have that feeling. And I think that's really, really important. I think people kind of, although we spoke logistics earlier on, like some people can be so logical about change, but it doesn't, that doesn't know how it works. Like, you really need to tap in and be like, this feels, like you say, it's so important, the feeling part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, because building this bigger vision, it shouldn't feel like you're pushing against the wind here. Like it should feel easy. And it
Yeah.
needs to be easy when you're properly locked into like this is how I want to feel moving
Hmm.
forward, rather
Hmm.
than, well, I kind of feel like I have to be like that because that's the
Yes.
person that lives this life.
Yeah.
Like become that version of you first and the vision will come true. You'll
Yeah.
move forward.
And I think a lot of people in this world, like we spoke about already, have that shoulds, like they have to do, they have to go down this path that has kind of been laid and set out for them because
Yeah.
they should, because life is, the society or whoever has laid this path and it's meant to be. That's the way you do it, and that's just the way it happens, and get on with it. But it's so important to recognise, like, actually, what do you want? Like, how do you feel? What is aligned with you? Because I know a lot of people living a life completely out of alignment because they should, because they went into this job because their mum done it or whatever, do you know what I mean? Or whatever it may be, or
Yeah.
even relationships, like settling in a relationship just for connection, because to have that connection instead of love, instead of like real, like, do you know what I mean? And people, we've got a bit of a settling society, really. Whereas actually, like you say, when you're aligned and it feels right, then it doesn't, it feels much more, it's not to say there's no hard work involved, of course there is,
Yeah.
but it's it's aligned and it doesn't, and it feels a lot of more effortless and good within yourself,
A hundred
doesn't it?
percent. And I've always said it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else.
Yeah,
As long as it makes sense to you, you don't need someone else's permission to go and build the life that you want. You don't
yeah.
need someone else's permission to rebuild your life after 30. You don't need someone else's permission to raise your kids this particular way. You get to do what the hell you want, and it's the
Mhm.
most empowering thing ever. And it's your choice, it's your decision. There's no rules.
Mhm.
You get to decide, but it shouldn't feel hard.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
scary at
Absolutely.
times, but it shouldn't feel hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say, for people listening to this, what would you say to them? I'm going to assume you've just answered that there.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I would definitely say that regardless of what you want out of life, the very, very first step is it all starts with you, all of it.
100%. Yeah,
Don't be looking externally for validation. And even, going back to that hookup situation, as much as that was an externally validating situation, there's a bigger inner shift for me than anything else.
yeah,
And all the work, everything that you want, it all starts with you.
yeah.
If you,
And I think it's important to say that as well on the side of the victimy thing. Like when you, like you're often the person is that I don't want to use the word problem, but like you are the person. Nobody else can do anything for you. You are the person that has to navigate through that and find the lessons and find what's right moving forward, isn't it? Like I
Yeah.
think that's quite a lot of our society as well, are in this victimhood kind of thing where it is like, oh, this happened to me, so I'm just going to stay here, and you're
I
like,
know.
well, come on.
You
Do
don't
you know what I mean?
okay.
Like you are your own problem sometimes, and especially when it comes to transformation. Like you can find people will be like, "Oh, but this happened," and there's all these barriers and stumbling blocks and stuff like that. But actually, but what about you? What can you
Yeah.
do? What can you actually do in this moment? And I think, like you say, everything all comes back to you, and you, and as a human being and as an adult, you have the beauty of having choice,
Yeah,
and you get to choose.
it's such a privilege, right? We're in a
Yeah,
society where we do have a choice.
yeah,
So why would we not lean in and take advantage of that? You know, some people
100%,
don't have that choice, and some people have that choice taken away from them. We don't in the
absolutely.
for most of us here. We don't. And we have that opportunity to do what the heck we want, when we want, and the way that we want to. So why would we choose to not go down that route?
Absolutely, 100%. I always ask this question, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit because you spoke about the writing your letter to your like your younger self. But I always ask the question: if you could go back, now they can go back to wherever you like, doesn't matter what age it is. If you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would it be?
Oh wow. I think I would be saying to her to always be grateful because gratitude changed my life in the hardest moments. Like always be grateful even for the hard moments. And as long as you always look towards gratitude, you'll get through these really tricky moments, even the ones that don't make sense, even the
Yeah,
ones that feel too much. There's always, always, always gratitude to be had. You know, even if it is just like I remember writing in my journal, like I'm grateful that I've woken up and my pillow's not soaking wet from me crying.
yeah,
You know, even gratitude for those tiny little moments because gratitude will completely change your life. Because the more
100%.
grateful you are, the more you've got the universe on your side as well, and you can get through anything.
Yeah, and then it's also training your brain to look for the good instead of being like, oh shit, it's pissing down outside. I can't do all that sort of stuff, isn't it? It's so important. Well, where can people find you, Kirsty?
Yeah, so two places on Instagram. So there is I am Kirsty Kayn on Instagram. That's more my personal profile, you know, my life behind the scenes. But I also have at the House of Alpha on Instagram and house spelled Haus, the House of
Okay.
Alpha, and that's my coaching page. So if
Okay.
you're wanting to do work on your money mindset, healing your money story, you know, really making fuck yes money in your business, that's the place that you want to be. I have a lot of people that kind of cross over and follow both, and obviously you're more than welcome to do that. But yeah,
Fabulous.
that's the main place I hang out.
Fabulous. I will tag both of them. I don't think I'm following you on your coaching page. I think I just went straight for you. Straight for you.
I think that's because my podcast, because it's not necessarily business related, it's
Yeah.
also promoted through my personal
Yeah.
Instagram. But yeah, definitely you get over to my coaching page as well.
I will do. I'll tag both of them in the show notes as well. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been. I feel like we could talk for days. I feel like that. I can't believe how long we've been talking for. I'm like, what?
I told you I could talk.
Listen, so can I. So that's why, like, we're a match made in heaven.
Love
Well,
it.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'll put everything in the show notes so people can follow you, and then we're going to be back for 2.0, aren't we, in February?
Yes, we are. We're flipping the script this time and bringing you on mine. So yeah,
Amazing, amazing,
thank you
amazing.
so
Thank
thank you.
you so much. See you
Okay.
later. Bye.